You are listening to Belly Birth Beyond with Pelvic Floor Mama. I'm your host, Becca Boeving, pelvic rehab certified coach and mom of two. Welcome to the safe space where no topics of motherhood are off limits and judgment is left at the door. Too many mamas are dismissed when they've got valid concerns. If you're sick of hearing that's normal when it feels otherwise, keep listening. Welcome back to Belly Birth Beyond. This is season 3 where we have moms from the community, and I am really excited because we have Ariel here today, and we were just talking about when she joined. It's going to be a year in next month, so that's so exciting. So Ariel, do you want to just share a little bit about, I guess, what made you join the community? Get started with us.
Yeah, so I regularly go to the chiropractor, and my chiropractor suggested when I was pregnant that I should look into a pelvic floor PT. And similar to probably other moms, it's a little bit hard to just figure out how to make time to go to appointments, find someone in the area that's not really expensive and actually like worth it. And so I had started kind of in the community. I didn't really find anyone, so I looked on Instagram, and I can't remember who I found you through, or if an ad came up, probably an ad because it probably read my mind. And I had joined your just kind of free program and was like, yeah, this is definitely a better way to go so that I can do everything virtually, kind of whatever time I wanted to do it at. It didn't have to be like, oh, you have to come Tuesdays at 5 o'clock. It's kind of do the program as you go. So at the time, it kind of fit my need.
It's so hard to go to appointments. Even before you have your child, it's like, what time do you have? And you're so tired that you don't want to go and do anything. At least that's how I felt. That's so exciting. He's going to be, I can't do math. He's going to be a year in October, which is what, almost 9 months old?
Yeah, he's almost 9 months.
I'm proud of myself. I really am terrible with doing the math.
Yes.
That is awesome. So how's everything going?
Things after kind of having him are amazing. It's definitely, he's been a really great baby. He's lots of fun. He's a lot more fun now. He's more interactive and doing all the things, eating food and hitting milestones and those types of things. So it's been really fun to kind of watch him grow into a little human.
To a person, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like a world traveler. How you guys have been on the plane how many times? Do you even know?
He's been on, I think 12 or 13 planes. Yeah, he's a traveler. We do lots of airplane rides, visits. There's lots of family members all over. We've gone to 2 different weddings, one in New York, one in Dallas. So we definitely I don't stop my life just because I have a baby. We've enjoyed kind of venturing out and bringing him with us and seeing kind of what there is to offer.
Yeah, no, I love that. Traveling with them is so fun. And I feel like they just get used to it. Mm-hmm. Especially like when you start them young like that, then they're just used to it. Like our kids in the car, they're just like, this is our life. Like, yep. We'll drive. We don't drive places. We will fly. But we drive around our state all the time to go do things. And it's usually not a problem, which is awesome. But
yeah, he's been really good on the plane. I mean, it was definitely surprisingly easier when he was like a month old versus last month when we traveled because, he just slept the entire time and this time he wanted to play, but he still did really good.
Yeah. And it's definitely easier when they just sleep because you're like, oh, this is it. They can't really move a whole lot. And yeah, that was challenging when we went from like a sleeping baby on the plane to, I think we actually ended up having to bring the car seat 1 or 2 times because he's content in the car seat. Again, we're in the car all the time. And he would sit there, no problem, wouldn't even like have a fuss about wanting to get out or anything like that. And when he's not, it's like he can't sit in the seat. It was like a constant battle. So, but we got lucky because it was kind of lucky. It was like, he was a 2020 baby. So when we traveled, it was still like a lot of restrictions and stuff like that. And not that we traveled in 2020, it was like 2021, but they still have all those restrictions. So we would only pay for the 2 seats, but we'd have the whole aisle.
Yeah.
And so it was really nice, but getting sidetracked on traveling because I could talk about traveling with kids for forever.
Yes.
I feel like it's its own topic.
And every month is different. So
yes.
I think traveling with a 3-month-old, 4-month-old, 7-month-old.
Yeah, you could start your own like travel blog about traveling with a baby. What you need to know.
That would be fun.
Yeah, that would be awesome. What are some things that now that you are here, like now that you have an almost 9-month-old baby, what are some things that you'd share with like moms who, like first time moms who are listening, or yeah, we'll go with first time moms.
And then you're like after birth or before?
Anything, all of it.
Well, I'd say I'll answer before birth only because I just recently was messaging with a friend who was pregnant with her first. And I was giving her kind of some advice that I would, like to share with
Yeah.
people. And I think that, first thing is making sure you move your body. Don't be sedentary because when you do, I think that's when more issues happen, things like that. So lots of movement. I know this is a hard one, but try to be low stress. Don't stress about the hard things. And then find community or support kind of throughout, because I think that's also really important.
Yeah, no, I love that. I did not expect you to say like you should move your body. Like that's not something I feel like a lot of people say. And so often I feel like like during pregnancy, we're like treated as like these delicate creatures who can't do anything. Like I know my mother-in-law at one point was like, "Oh, you shouldn't be lifting that," and it wasn't even something that was heavy at all. And not that I couldn't have lifted it if it was, but I'm like, I'm pregnant. I'm not like I can help move this.
Yeah. It's
But
like,
that's
don't
what we
change
do.
your lifestyle. Like
Yeah,
if you do all these things before, just because you're
can't
pregnant
do
doesn't
anything.
mean you can't do things. It's maybe there's a
Yeah,
little bit of modification, but you can still ride the bike, you can still walk, you can still lift, do those things.
yeah. You were doing it all. I remember I was always so impressed. I'm like, wow, she's just doing everything. I think you did. Did you just do the postpartum challenge or did you do another one? Because I feel like you like were one of the top like contributors in that. Not like contributors as in like, well, it was like the most reps done or the most
Oh yeah,
like
I did. Well, that was for the
completions.
labor. I did the labor challenge, like
Okay.
because
Yeah.
that happened to coincide right when I was in my third trimester, so it was like perfect
Okay.
timing.
Yeah.
So I did that in addition to my normal movement every single day to try to like make sure I did, you know, intentional movement to help with labor,
Yeah.
because I think that's also important because I was doing movement, but there's also intentional movement as well.
Yeah. Instead of trying to like run and jump and like do these intense workouts to get our babies out, let's maybe try to relax, which is hard to do at the end.
Yes.
Did you feel like it was hard to do when you were close
Yes.
to your due date?
Yeah, so everyone asked like how was my pregnancy, and I actually thankfully had a pretty easy pregnancy. I felt great the entire time. I had morning sickness at the beginning, but besides that, like I was moving all summer. I was doing my normal things. But the last 3 weeks before he was born were definitely my best time. I felt like just like very heavy and just like a little bit less interested in wanting to move, but making sure that I still did that during those last 3 weeks was the most important. And during those 3 weeks, I was like, okay, at least do 10 minutes. Okay, if you can get 10 minutes, then you did a good job. And then if you do a little more before bed, that's great. So
Yeah.
definitely the last 3 weeks were like the final push of like, okay, I need to keep moving, but still make sure that I recognize that I'm a little more exhausted.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you ever have, some people talk about like that last burst of energy before baby came. Did you
Yeah,
ever have that?
the last week before he came, so it would have been a week before my due date. I think I had him maybe 5 days before my due date. So then a week before that, um, I was doing like lots of walking. Like I would like go
Oh,
to the
yeah.
park and like walk
Uh-huh.
a ton, and all of a sudden I was like, okay, I'm ready. I want to go to like walk around the grocery store, go to the stores and shop or whatever. So I did.
That like last burst of energy definitely hit you then.
Yes.
I don't think that happens to everybody, but I do hear stories. Like I don't and maybe I'm sure if I asked my husband, he would be like, you don't remember."
Yeah. I never
Because
got like nesting. Like I never did like stuff around the house too much.
yeah.
But I did do like all of a sudden I was like, yeah, I'm ready to like go do stuff. Like let's go
Yeah, I
out.
don't think no, I think I did nest with both. The first one was because of COVID. Like COVID hit like literally 21. Well, my 20-week ultrasound was moved because of COVID, but like the world shut down like a week before. So I was probably like 19 weeks. Also, I had just went on a cruise. So everybody, and I worked in a PT clinic and everybody knew I had just went on a cruise. So all of a sudden it went like when I got back, we were even delayed getting back. I'm going on a tangent here. There's a point here. Anyways, COVID, we were on this cruise and it got held off shore, not like the one off the West Coast where they were literally held for 2 weeks. We were only held there for like, I don't know, 20 hours or something like that. but enough that I wanted to get the heck off the plane because already when we woke up, my grandma's like, she traveled with us and she's like, what do you want to do when you get off? I'm like, I want food that's not from the ship. Like, I'm over all of this. I want something different. And she's like, okay. Like, we were planning it. And then we were stuck on the ship again. And I'm just like, I can't do this. Like, first world problems, right? Like complaining about the food on the ship. But when we landed and stuff or when we were able to dock, no other ships went out after us. I didn't get to go to work the Monday like I was supposed to because we got off the ship Monday morning at like 2 a.m. And then we slept an hour, I think. And then we had like the first flight out. We had to be there like 5 a.m. or something. And so when I got to the clinic, everyone was like, oh, how was your trip? You know, like the world hadn't shut down yet, but it was like starting to trickle. And then that was Tuesday. By Thursday, patients were canceling, being like, I don't want to see Becca, or I don't want to be in the clinic with Becca because she just went on a cruise. And I'm just like, I was like almost 20 weeks pregnant, just crying, like, oh my gosh, it's not my fault. No one wants to be here. But when we didn't have our baby shower until I think I was 36, 37 weeks pregnant because everything like was like shut down. So we did it outside for the most part, or in like, and my grandparents had like a huge area. So we were able to do something. There was like that 3-week period in the summer. But we didn't have anything. I remember texting my mom, I'm like, I'm 36 weeks pregnant. We don't even have like a car seat. We don't have like we don't have anything. And she's like, it's going to be fine. Your baby shower is coming up. It's going to be fine. She's like, and if you go into labor for some reason before, like, you have all of us, we'll go get whatever you need and bring it to you. It's going to be fine. So I think my nesting was more just that like sheer panic of after the baby shower. It's like, okay, everything's got to get put away because it was just all stored in one room.
Right. You don't want to deal with it after. If it wasn't for my mom, I wouldn't have
crazy.
The day it was born.
Yeah. I just had like panic. Well, not so many, but like my best friend was pregnant at the same time and she like was all set up. And there were a couple other girls I went to like high school with who we were, honestly, one of them was like my due date buddy because she went like 4 days before her due date and I went like a week plus after my due date. And so at the end, like when she was like 39, I was like, no, she was 38 and I was 39 weeks. We were like, how are we getting through this? And, you know, like texting each other, are you in labor? I was like, what are you? And she, like, everybody was just so set with all of their stuff, like months in advance. And I did the whole comparison, which we should never do on social media, but we all do it. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're so behind. We don't have anything. Nesting. It's crazy. So back to like pregnancy, birth, how was your like birth experience compared to like what you expected? Was there anything that was like shocking to you or that you're like, wow, I really wish I knew this, that I just didn't going into it?
So I probably am a little unique in the fact that didn't I didn't do a lot of research on actual birth or pay attention to kind of what the birth itself would be like, mainly because it's a little bit of a scary thing. And so I didn't do like, I was like, okay, yeah, we'll just see what happens. I'm more focused on kind of preparation for my body and knowing that my body was strong enough to do what it needed to do. So I like to say I didn't have that many expectations. I wanted to kind of just let my body go through the natural cycle that it was going to do. So I wasn't like, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. I had people who kind of guided me. So I did hire a doula, which is also a very important thing. I think, anyone who is new, a first time mom, and even a second time mom, like if I ever were to have another kid, I would definitely hire her again. I think it's someone who can guide you through a moment that they're more familiar with than yourself. So we kind of sat down and did like preferences as opposed to like, this is what I definitely want to do. It's just more of like, hey, if I had a choice, this is what I want my birth experience to look like. So I think that's kind of how it was. So because I did that, I feel like I hit all my expectations because I think I set the bar that was reasonable for myself.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, a doula is so valuable. I do remember you having her.
Yes. And a doula for not just birth. So she helped us kind of pre-birth. We did like a class with her. She came to the house a few times, helped with like just kind of partner support. And then she was there, of course, the actual day. And then even she came to the house the day we came home from the hospital. She's come to my house multiple times since then. She helps with, breastfeeding and other, pretty much anything you help with the baby. she's also able to help with, which has been really amazing.
That's awesome. And I'm not at all surprised you had that. You were like, these are the things that we're going to do. And they're so valuable. And I feel like, so like, there's also I get a lot of moms who are like, well, I have a midwife. That's like the same thing. It's like a midwife and a doula are very different. And if you're listening, you're like, I don't know the difference. I think it's like the second episode of this podcast is like, it's an interview with the doula talking about how they can help you and what they do. And there's like different doulas. It sounds like you have a doula who was like the birth doula, but even like postpartum doula too, because you can have like, you can specialize in both types of things. There's so many different types of doulas and they're so helpful, especially with breastfeeding. Was that challenging for you at all?
I mean, because I had her, no, because really if I ever had an issue, like I would text her, I would FaceTime her, we'd call, it was very quick. I also joined, as I said, community is very important to me. So I joined like a local mom breastfeeding group postpartum. So I actually went maybe when he was 6 weeks old for the first time. And then you go up until they're a year. It's a every other week program where a lactation consultant in the area puts on a program, and it's like 6 or 7 moms and their babies who come, and you can kind of get support from each other and then also from the lactation consultant to help with latching, if they kind of feeding schedule, and if you want to pump, they can help with that. So I think that's also, so it was kind of I did both.
No, that's awesome. That was so hard, especially because we think about like just initially breastfeeding, like, oh, okay, once we get it, it's good, but it changes. Like it just, like you were talking about with the plane, every month kind of changes. It's a different baby. And I feel like with nursing, that's how I felt too. Like their feeding demand changes. Then you start adding solids and then you start, and it was just, and then you go back to work.
And then they get teeth. That one's been the most challenging for me. 2 bottom teeth are not fun. So yes. So it's nice to have kind of that as well.
Yeah. And how to navigate that. I think that's so important. And there's a lot of stuff that even now I still don't know. There's IBCLC, International Board Certified. Yes. Lactation consultant. I always have to say it because I'm like, I'm going to say these letters wrong. Jamie would be so disappointed if she was listening to this, but that's what she is. And I wish I had her. Like, you know how people are like, God, I wish I met you before my pregnancy or whatever. And I'm like, Jamie, I really wish I had you before I had my kids, because there's so much education you can do. Like we think about the birth and we think about maybe even postpartum or meals and things like that. But I think for me, breastfeeding was one of the hardest things. And my doula wasn't necessarily helpful it was my second time I had a doula. The first time I didn't have anyone, and it was COVID. And so it was hard to get any help. And that the hospitals were so, like the care in the hospital was just it was just not a good situation for anybody.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I think having like external people. I know that I'm pretty sure in my hospital, a lactation consultant came maybe the day I was getting discharged. And I really liked her, the person who came in, and she was like helpful and, giving different flange sizes and nipple fields and all those other just extra things that might be helpful when you get home. Because you're not really, there's not so much milk. There's no milk coming out when you're in the hospital. There's not much you're doing. So it's helpful to have those kind of in your back pocket too.
Yeah. Unless you stay several days and then all of a sudden it's different.
Yes. Then you're like, I want to leave.
Yeah. And then you're ready to get out of there. Yeah. No, the lactation consultants are really nice. We did have one, and I actually called her because I didn't know, I wasn't in the birth world with my first. And I remember even calling her, like going back to work and having all the changes and stuff. So I'm like, I just don't think I think every mom might go through like, I don't think I'm producing enough milk. Something's wrong. So that was mine. And I'm like, there's so many misconceptions surrounding our bodies and what we can do. And I wish there was more help and support, because that was hard. As you said, it's a village. Like it's a village for pregnancy. And I think that goes into postpartum as well. Like everyone talks about getting your village once the baby's here. But I'm like, what about getting your village before baby's here even, for you and I think that's why your pregnancy was so good. You had all your people and you just kept adding to it, and you're so resourceful too.
And I like the other thing is I think that what's really important is like all of these things are kind of pieces to the puzzle to make you feel better,
Yeah.
and to make things kind of in your favor. And so I think having, I did chiropractic, I did lots of movement through your programs, I had a doula. I think that all those things were all integral parts. I don't think I could just have done one. I think for me to have I like to say a pretty smooth pregnancy and a smooth delivery and a good experience that I had.
Yeah. No, and I'm glad you did. How did you find your doula?
So it's actually interesting. So my hospital here, they have classes for like they have birthing classes and then they have like safety classes. And as I think I told you earlier, I wasn't really someone who wanted to research a lot about the birth. I was like, I don't think a birthing class like that is for me. Like maybe on a smaller level would be better. But we took my husband and I took like a baby safety and first aid class. I was like, oh
Okay.
yeah, I need to know infant CPR. I don't need to know that when the baby's born, but now that I'm starting solids, it'd probably be good to actually retake the class. But we took the class and it was actually rescheduled because of like a crazy storm. And so we went to a new class and it was like a nighttime class, which I hate doing, but it was like super late, like 4 hours long. And
Oh,
we're there,
jeez.
and it was an amazing class. The instructor was like, she was so good. I was like, wow, she's just like, she's making it actually like exciting to like baby proof your house and talk about that. But also she talked about like safety sleep and things like that. And so at the end of the class, I was like, hey, do you happen to know any doulas in the area? Because we were just starting to look for some sense, because they are pretty hard to find. I had already done like a few interviews and I was like, because you have to really like get along with the person since they're going to be
No,
the one in
definitely.
the hospital room with you. So the
Definitely.
first person I was like, nah, she wasn't my vibe. Like I had to figure out something new. And so she's like, oh, actually, I'm a doula on the side, the person who taught our class. And I was like, no way. And
Yeah.
she's like, I don't have many spots left for this like calendar year because she only takes like a certain amount of births per month. So she can make sure she's there. And she happened to have one in October available. And so we went home and I like did two more interviews the next day. I was like, for this woman, like we really liked her class. Like she was really upbeat and just everything she said. And even when I started to ask her kind of specific to birth questions, she really was like, she talked a lot about being my advocate, which
Yeah.
I think was really just a buzzword that resonated with me because I'm like, I really wanted someone in the hospital who was my advocate, who could
Hmm.
literally, who I would trust to go tell the doctor something. And, me and my husband don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so then we hired her from the class.
That's awesome. It really is about who you like drive with.
Yeah.
I think for anything and everything. And you don't drive with everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah, doulas are amazing. It's hard to find. I feel like a lot of people I know are like, well, I knew it through this person or that person. And it's kind of like, I think word of mouth is the most amazing way that you can find anybody and anything. That's
Yeah.
like the most valuable tool I think we have. But searching for them too, even the doulas that I know, I'm like, how do you tell people to search for services and stuff like that? And finding the right one because they do so many different things.
Yeah.
So
Well, and that's the other thing. They do so many different things. And so it's good to check them all
yeah.
out.
And yours is like a jack of all trades. She's like teaching these safety classes. She's like, oh wait, I'm a doula too. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, that's why she doesn't have like so many, she doesn't like take a lot of births each month because she does a lot of
Does
other
that
things
stuff.
in the community. But I'm like, she's definitely, but she has like other people on her team as well. So she also was like, I have other really great people on my team who you could use. But I was like, no, I really want to use you if you're available. So it worked out that she was available and had time.
Yeah, that's awesome. So
Because she's
pregnancy
that
was,
person who you can call at 2 a.m. if you need something.
yeah, that's valuable. I think that was the greatest thing about having a doula is just instead of having to call the office, especially during pregnancy, it's like you just send a quick text like, hey, blah, 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 this is going on.
Yep.
And we had predominant labor for like a week. And so I was like, hey, I'm having contractions every 4 to 5 minutes for the last hour or two. She's like, well, let me know like how they keep going, and then like an hour or two they stopped. I'm like, psych, they stopped.
Yeah.
But I'm the person that like doesn't like to call very often because I'm like, I'm bugging them. I'm probably bothering them. I'm better about it now. But so having her was really helpful because I'm like, I don't want to have to call the office about every so
Yeah.
often to get
And I
answers.
feel like sometimes the doctors are like, oh, come in just to get checked. Because that's
Yeah.
like, they don't know if you're telling everything you want to say or what, you're
Yeah.
giving the whole story. So one time I did, I did go to the hospital pre having the actual baby. I think it was maybe 2 weeks before. And they're always like, when you call, they're like, we'll just come in just to make sure everything's okay. I think with a doula, they're good about like knowing when it is important to go versus, you're
Yeah.
fine at home.
And like diving further into it, like, tell me a little bit more, where the doctors are like, just come in, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
If they're not busy. But if they are, I feel like that's a little bit different though, too,
Yeah.
depending on all of those types of things. So birth or, well, yes, pregnancy and birth went well. Is there something that was surprising or that you wish you knew postpartum that you would tell, like you were just texting a first time mom, that you would tell her?
Yeah, so this one I probably give different advice than I did, but I think the first thing is, I think making sure you take care of yourself. I think that's important, and I think asking for support and asking for help, whether it's from people who are helping around the house, friends, family, your partner, anything like that. I think that's important. And I think the movement postpartum probably is more important than during your pregnancy, because I think getting your kind of strength back to its norm or its new norm was important. I struggled with a lot of back pain at the
Yeah.
beginning of my postpartum. I guess, yeah, probably in the about 3 months after I had my child, and I think that it's probably because the first 3 months after I had the baby, I wasn't as intentional about movement, and I wish I was, because I think that would have probably helped with gaining some of the muscle or strength or whatever else I needed back, as opposed to getting to the point where like, oh my gosh, I can't move, which I never experienced during my pregnancy. I was very, I was fine, but postpartum, had a little bit more of a issue with movement. And I think part of it is because you're like, I just need to keep this child alive. I need to do these
Yeah.
things. And it's like they're kind of fight or flight, I guess, maybe a little
For a
bit,
long
where you're
time.
like, this is what I'm doing. And so
Yeah.
making sure to still do the movement. And so I think you had the post maybe about 3 months after. It was new when I had my baby. So I think it maybe had started 3 months after. Okay, I need to get back into the movement.
Yeah.
And I think the challenge just helps me kind of reset. And it's like, okay, you need to like take 10 minutes again. It doesn't have to be an hour, it doesn't have to be 2 hours. It can be for 10 minutes, or even, just some stretching. I think is just some stuff that I would tell someone the first 3 months, you should be doing all those things, even if it's just a little bit of stretching, just to keep those muscles moving.
Yeah. Because I remember you having like, and it was more upper back too. It wasn't necessarily all the way lower, right? It was like
Changed
a
like
combination of both.
yeah, it
Like,
changed. Like I think it started as upper, which is a lot from nursing and bending
yes.
down and
Yeah.
doing those things. And then once I started lifting him more, then it was like, okay, now my lower back hurts. And I had, during my labor, I had all back labor, so all of my pain was in my back versus in my stomach. So I think part of it might have been from that as well.
Yeah. It's definitely a challenge. Did you feel like you had like worked out for like 2 weeks straight when your baby first came from like carrying and nursing and just holding?
Yeah. And I will say, like, my husband was really helpful in, like, okay, he was doing most of the carrying. We have a lot of stairs in our house, so he was doing the stairs. But just, yeah, from walking around, from nursing, just being kind of bent over.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt like I had worked out for like 2 weeks straight, like my upper body, arms, back, everything. Like,
Yeah.
and I remember there was a moment where I looked at my husband, I was like, and I think I said that to him. I was like, I feel like I've worked out for 2 weeks straight. And he's like, in a way, you have. I mean, he's like 10 pounds now.
You're giving the baby all your energy.
Yeah, you are. And it's hard. And I think like moving your body is, I personally think it's so important, but also, especially with my firstborn, I don't want to put a lot of pressure on moms either. Because it's so hard. And I get so many moms who try, but then they're overwhelmed and they already, like, our mental state is already very thin and it's challenging. So just doing what you feel like you can do, even if it's like one movement a day that like helps you so you don't have as much pain or discomfort or something like that. But definitely it's so important, like those 0 to 6 weeks postpartum, and I will say this till I'm blue in the face, is it's not just sit and rest. Yes, there's like the time for that, But also when you do start getting up and moving and carrying your child, or just, going for walks or going back to this, like doing your daily things, your body needs to learn how to do those things again. Like your muscles aren't, we do all this preparation for pregnancy and for birth. And then postpartum, we're like, oh, everything's just going to go back to normal and we're going to be good. But it's
Yep.
like your body just went into labor for, some moms upwards of 2 days. And then you gave birth to a baby and now you've been taking care of that baby. Your body's not just going to, it will eventually kind of find its new normal, but it's not going to like work the same as before. You got to reteach it. You got to like mind, muscle, body connection type of thing going on. And that's hard. It's hard to remember when you're sleep deprived.
It's hard to find time. But
Yeah,
so that's why, I always tell people, like, even if it's just 1 minute, that's one thing I wish I would have done better and more intentionally.
And even especially if you have a baby who you have a hard time like setting down, like they just want to be held all the time, which is a lot of babies, like, and it can be challenging. Or if your like husband has to go back to work like super early, like they don't get to stay home with you as long. Like there's just a lot of challenges. So everybody's postpartum experience looks different, but I think that's an awesome reminder for moms.
That's the most important thing, is every experience is different.
Yeah.
And then kind of back to my other thing is that's why I didn't do a lot of research, because every experience is different. I mean, I have tons of friends who have had babies. My sister-in-law has a baby. Actually, two of my sister-in-laws have babies, and their experiences were even
remotely close.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so different. And we could talk about how different it is for everybody, for sure. I was going to ask you something else, and I just asking for help, actually. That was a really good one. That was really hard. Did you have a hard time asking for help initially, or like, was that something that kind of came natural to you?
Not at the beginning. I like to say I'm the person who's usually offering help.
Yeah.
I'm always the person who's like, can I help you do this? Can I do that? So like for the first, month or two, I wasn't like good about it. But then I started to realize like there are people who want to help.
Yeah.
You have to just remember, like, you have to say it. You have to ask for it. People aren't going to read your mind. I mean, they know, okay, I'm going to get her, always have a cup of water when she's nursing. But besides that, like, there aren't things like that they know, that people know all the time that you're going to need or want, or things like that. So,
yeah, that's yeah, we're not mind readers. My husband reminds me that all the time. I can't read your mind.
Yeah.
That was
be a little more direct. Sometimes I ask for things, but they're not so direct. So my husband's like, what are you talking about?
That's a good point too.
Yes.
Yeah. No, and you're right. Like there's people that surround you who love you and love your baby, and they want to be there for you, but they also probably don't want to like push for it either. They're like, some people are really good at boundaries, and so they're waiting to be asked or to know how to help you, because everybody's different. Everybody wants different things throughout postpartum. So I think asking for help would make a huge difference. Such a big difference. Very challenging. Anything else you would like to say to like first time moms, or I know not just first time moms are listening, but I feel like as a first time mom, we're just trying to absorb all of the information we can. And you went out and found like all these amazing resources, and you like had a community like within your community of people, and you had such a great support system. And so that's amazing to be able to have. So if you have any other words of advice or things you want to share, not to put you on the spot.
I mean, I would just say, you're doing a great job. Whatever is working for you is going to be good. Because I think that, take some of the pressure off yourself. Remember that sometimes adding extra pressure just makes things worse. That's my other advice.
Yeah, that helps. Mental health is important.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, I think, unless there's anything else to share, that is Ariel's story, her pregnancy, her birth, and her postpartum. And it's so different. Like you were talking about, all the births are different, all the experiences are different, the way you prepared. And it doesn't have to necessarily look the same, but if you're struggling with pain, or you're having fear surrounding birth, or you're just wanting to know how to maybe prepare for postpartum a little bit better, for whatever you can do. There's resources and support for you. Always check out your areas too. There's a lot of good mom groups. Ariel found it. I know that there's some around our area too. Are you in any Facebook groups, or do you like those, or are you more like to go in person type of thing?
I like most of the things I do are actually online. I'd rather find communities, so like your community where you can just ask a question, and there's a lot of moms out there. There's a few Facebook groups through like the breast pump that I got. They have a support group on their Facebook. I think nursing in particular was important for me to be in person, just because it's easier for like a lactation consultant to see you.
Yeah.
But for pretty much everything else, I'd much rather be virtual and online, and then because you pretty much have answers at your fingertips. So finding your program was probably one of the best things that I did find. I really don't know how I stumbled upon it, but I'm very thankful for it. And
Instagram algorithm, I guess.
Yeah, it worked out for me and definitely made, my birth experience amazing. And one that I am glad I can share about and help other moms, and, just making sure that your body is prepared. And I think you do a good job of that. You make a community online where you feel like you actually and you're always available, which I really appreciate. Some of the programs that you can get, like the person who founded it, you just don't really get to speak to them so much, but you're really available for moms, and definitely appreciate that. And still appreciate that in the postpartum, environment.
Yeah, we've had some conversations. I love that. I think that's my favorite part, is being able to like connect with you guys, and you were one of the ones who was very active too, because some moms are like, oh, I just want the program, and kind of like the fly on the wall, like I just want to see what's going on, but I don't know that I'm ready to like get my feet wet yet, or they like private message. So just being able to have whatever makes people comfortable, I think is really important, whether that's listening to other moms or just sending private messages or being able to ask those questions, because I cannot imagine like having a program or a resource that you just hand out and then you just like walk away from it and you're just like, here you go. There you go. Yeah. Like, even if it has everything in it, which I think I've done a good job, and it does have like pretty much anything you need is in there. I still think, especially at like being a mom myself, having that extra support from others is really helpful. So I'm glad that you found that valuable, because I've loved working with you and getting to know you. And Theo's getting so big. I just saw a picture like in the pool the other day playing in the summer. So it's been amazing. It's been an honor to get to know you and to be able to watch you go through all the stages. So with that, we'll wrap up for this episode, and we will be back next week with something special. Ariel is a mama from the Momma Community, which she joined through the Ultimate Momma Bundle. The Ultimate Momma Bundle is your pelvic floor roadmap through pregnancy, birth, and postpartum. It's where you find relief from your pregnancy pain within 2 weeks or less. It's where you prepare for a birth with reduced tearing, less pushing, and an easier recovery. And it's where you have the support that you need throughout your postpartum recovery. If you're interested in more information, the link is located in the show notes. It will take you directly to the Ultimate Momma Bundle, where you can join the community and have the support that you need. Nothing is TMI when it comes to motherhood, and common doesn't necessarily mean normal. Always trust your gut and never stop advocating for the care you deserve. If you enjoyed this podcast, help it reach more mamas like you by subscribing and leaving a review on your preferred listening platform. Keep in touch with me on Instagram by following Pelvic Floor Mama. See you next time.